Hello, good evening everybody. My name is Gregory Mack. Welcome to my channel. And this evening we're going to be going over things I've been doing with the Goldwing rescue project. Last video I showed it was really stormy out and I really couldn't do much of anything except for just cover stuff up and organize some tools and things. And today after work it's actually turned out really nice. So I was able to continue the cleaning. I've got the stator cover here that I'm continuing to clean in our makeshift parts bucket, which is really working out really well. And the cleaning solution has been doing a really good job getting a lot of that grease. I do have to get on some of it with a almost like scraping and scrubbing and everything. And gosh, some of these parts are so nasty, like this timing belt covers. Look at the grease on that. Look at that. I mean, can you believe the grease on that? It's incredible. That's all going to get cleaned, and I'm going to clean it all up. And over here, this was just saturated, and there was so much just nasty sludge down in there. This is where the clutch basket goes on there, and that's where the clutch sits. And I mean, it was just absolutely disgusting. And I'm still working on cleaning this up, but I've got it pretty clean. I'm working on cleaning up this gasket surface, and I have a new gasket that came. Still, like, once again, waiting on the clutch plates. They should be here anytime. And I'm also cleaning up these intake ports here. There's a water, there was like a water port crossover tube. I still need to get a gasket for that on that side, and that's okay. And boy, once again, just the grease that's on this thing is unbelievable, and I really don't like it, but it's just one of the nastiest, greasiest engines I've ever dealt with. But I'm going to clean all up in there and get those timing covers clean. And I also need to order a this thermostat housing gasket, and maybe a new thermostat. I should probably do that. Just all those little things, they start adding up, but it's got to be done. And I also wanted to give a quick update on these throttle cables. Absolutely no good. I can't use them at all. I soaked them both, and I got one to start budging, and the cable inside was so rusted and it just pulled right out right there. So I got to order new throttle cables. That's okay. That's all part of how this stuff goes. You know, I tried to reuse them. It's just not going to work. So it's a bit of an update on how this is progressing, and I still have to clean all those nuts and bolts and engine mount parts there. That's all for when the engine goes back in. Most of that was for that, and the foot peg there. Not a real big deal. All that stuff will clean up real quick, and that's not a problem. Stuff like that's real easy. It's the rest of the stuff that does get to be a bit of a challenge. But hey, I'm confident that we're making good time with it, and I'm keeping on with the project, and that's what's really important here. And let's see, almost 5 minutes in. I wanted to briefly discuss something, and this is the psychology of And this subject I could dive so deep on. I'm just going to cover it briefly, and because it's something that I've struggled with, is with many different things that we may find ourselves doing in life, whether it's a project or any other hobby or interest. You know, we get a dopamine fix during many aspects of that. And it's something that happens a lot with people that collect things, like the search to collect something, and that results in like a quick dopamine fix. And when you see something you're after or you want, you really get a lot of little and sometimes larger dopamine fixes. And then you acquire the item, and a person puts it in their collection, and there's nothing wrong with that. Absolutely nothing wrong with that whatsoever. It's really normal. It's a normal part of human behavior. People like to collect things, and it makes them feel good. And even if they collect the same thing again, they still, it's reintroducing that dopamine when they do that. And I've done it thousands and thousands of times in my life. But what happens when you start accumulating things you can't handle, or you have a hard time getting rid of? Well, then it starts becoming a problem. And I had this problem years ago. I started collecting a lot of motorcycle projects. Because I kept getting that dopamine fix when I would go buy the things. And I bought frames, and I bought engines, and I bought just all kinds of stuff. And pretty soon, it had overrun my life. And I had, I think at one point in time, I counted 20 running motorcycles that I owned at one point. And then I had, I don't know how many were in pieces. And it seemed so silly to me. And I thought to myself, I did the best I could to maintain the ones that I had, but it was so hard to keep up with the oil and the gas and the maintenance just alone. And I kept trying to ride them all as I went, and then I started letting a few of them go, and I felt better. And then I got rid of everything I had, except for like one bike, one or maybe two bikes at the time. And then I eventually let those go. And then I've started that, and then I went for a long period of my life where I got into other things. I just got away from motorcycles, not completely, but I throttled back on the collecting obsessive compulsiveness of that, because I didn't have the mental capacities back then to handle what I was doing. And I learned a lot. I learned a lot about that. And today, I have learned that I have to finish things. I have to finish projects before I start another. It's really, really important for me to follow through if I buy a project motorcycle or anything, to stick with it, follow through with it, and what you're also going to enjoy from the entire process is little successes with it. And those are dopamine fixes. See, I don't smoke, and I don't drink, and I don't do any kind of drugs whatsoever. I'm not hating on anybody that does any one of those things. It's completely, up to the individual. But where I'm going with this is, you can enjoy those dopamine fixes with whatever projects you currently have. And the people that do, they find out ways to continue to do that. It's by making the thing better and better and better and better. And that's how people wind up at car shows or motorcycle shows, because they stuck with something so much and they still found ways to get that enjoyment out of it, something that was even totally cherried out. It starts to become the riding experience of it, or the sharing it with other people. It gives them that same feeling. And that's what I try to do today with things that I invite into my life. And I have other motorcycles, and I'm going to share those with you guys at some point. It's not really important right now. I don't want to deviate too much from the Honda Goldwing here. And what we face when we take on things like this is it can become such a daunting task, and so hard to keep the dream or the motivation alive. And so what a person will do, and I've even found myself doing this, is I start browsing other projects online, and I start looking at other things, and I've almost went and bought other things too, and I'm like, see, you got to catch yourself. there's no, I'm going to tell you, there's no shortage of projects out there. And there's no shortage of good deals. There will always, 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 always be the next best deal, right? And how you might go pursue that deal, and it may be such a fantastic deal, and you get it, and you're going to find a place for it, and you're going to make room for it, and you're going to get that dopamine fix from it. And then what? Can you handle it? Are you going to... A lot of times what we'll do is we'll tell other people the things we're going to do with something. And that starts to become a dopamine fix, where you might tell friends, family, co-workers. There's any number of people that someone might share what they're doing with. There's nothing wrong with that, until you get the dopamine fix from it, and then all of a sudden you're not feeling that anymore. And then the project sits there, and that's when people lose interest. They lose motivation. They lose desire. And then they get rid of it, or they pass the project on. And you'll see these things constantly come up for sale. A person says, I just lost interest, I'm no longer interested. And like I said, there's nothing wrong with that. It's whatever ultimately makes a person happy. But I've been through these things, and I've experienced these things in my life. And the ups and the downs, and I get it. But I've learned that I've discovered ways to continue to get that dopamine fix and have that feeling of success through the whole process. And I don't need another project motorcycle to get that. I have this one right now. And so I'd like to just share those things with people, because it's a huge part of the experience and the journey, that you can have the same thing. But you're going to have to stay motivated, and there's so many ways to do that. By just working on one little thing at a time with a project. When you get a chance, it's going to reignite your desire and interest, and stay interested in what you're doing. And if you feel like you're just losing interest, you're getting upset, you're getting disgusted, start using your imagination. Summon up those feelings within you that What were you thinking when you first saw the project? Think of all those amazing dreams you thought. It's like with this bike, I see myself up on a mountaintop on it, running beautifully. Went up a dirt road. I've got a little more off-road tires on it. I've got some camp gear on the back. I have a freeze-dried meal, a little stove, a kettle. I got a coffee cup. I mean, I've got everything. I've got a sleeping bag. I've got all my stuff. And I'm up on a mountaintop in the forest on this bike. And I hear the birds and the breeze, and it's the perfect weather, and I'm setting up camp. And I look at the bike and say, man, remember when I was sitting there like this in front of this motor, all torn to pieces, on my butt in my driveway around greasy rags and all those things? See, that is the thing. If you can envision that in your mind's eye and hold that focus just for a few minutes, just for a few minutes at a time, that is going to happen because I've focused on that. It will be a reality. This realm that we live in is going to produce that for me because of my thought. My thought is that powerful. So I'm going to think this engine into life and think that bike into transformation, and I'm going to be on a mountaintop having a cup of coffee with this bike in the background that took me there, and I enjoyed every minute of it. And I'm enjoying every minute of this experience too. See, I'm getting right now that dopamine fix from this, and the entire process. I'm getting that in little micro increments and even bigger increments. And man, when I'm there, it's going to be a rush. When I'm on the highway on this bike, it's going to be a rush. I'm going to feel so good about this experience. So good about doing what I did. And I keep envisioning those things in the future. So I'll I know this is a long video, and just wanted to discuss that because it's a huge thing. And if you made it this far to listen to my rambling about this, I hope you got something from it. Spend a few minutes with whatever it is you're working on in life. Whatever it is you're trying to manifest into your reality that you enjoy or you like doing. And it could be anything. I'm just using motorcycle stuff as an example because this is me in my life. But for you, whatever it is that you're doing, if you start to lose interest or something starts fading and you really don't want that deep down, just spend those 2 minutes. 2 minutes to visualize the end result of it. Spend 2 minutes to visualize the end result, where you want to be in the end of it, and how you want to feel, and focus on that feeling state, and your reality is going to transform, and that's going to happen because you've already thought it, and you've already thought that into existence. And I'm going to prove that. I'm going to prove that with this entire project. So, okay, boy, we're coming up on almost 20 minutes. I just want to share that with you guys. I'm going to get back to getting the stator cover cleaned up here. Yeah, I'm going to get that wiped down a little bit more, and thank you all for joining me. Appreciate you. Thank you so much for all your comments and encouragement. That helps me to also stay motivated and continue on this journey. And I may have lost interest and went and looked for another quicker, easier dopamine fix, without you guys. So thank you so much. And we'll see you on the next one, and hopefully that'll be getting some of this assembled here soon. I'm really excited to start that process. Alright, bye for now.